Hi, this is Ron Reich, and I'm here in Berkshire, Texas, which is about a 45-minute drive from Houston, Texas. Going to be staying here for the next month or so before me and the family heads off to Colombia. So I still don't have my nice setup with my nice camera and my nice microphone. So thanks for bearing with me on my not quite A plus sound, but you can hear all of my awesomeness anyways, I'm sure. So in today's video, I want to share with you my plan for accomplishing my impossible goal, which is to speak on Brendon Burchard's stage in 2028. Why have I chosen this as my impossible goal? Well, I got this idea initially. Comes from the inspiration of Ben Hardy. If you checked out his books, 10x is easier than 2x, or more recently, The Science of Scaling, two excellent books where he really advocates coming up with an impossible goal with an impossible timeline because the general idea is that if you have an impossible goal, like a 10x goal, your paths to accomplishing that goal, they get there's only a few ways to do it. So it really requires extreme focus, requires you to say no to everything else, essentially. And essentially, the person you have to become in order to get that 10x, you have to become a different type of person to become that, to hit your 10x goal, to hit your 10x impossible goal. So it's a very excellent framework. And the reason why I chose speaking, and specifically this impossible goal of speaking on Brendon Burchard's stage, is because one of my biggest inspirations is a guy by the name of Dan Kennedy, who I've talked about him in other videos. I got into his stuff in the early 2000s, so for well over 20 years, and he's been a huge influence on me. And he really, to me, is like the ultimate expert, the ultimate expert, the ultimate coach, just the ultimate, I guess, influencer, you could call him, a really great role model for myself. And when I look at his skill set, He's a great, he's a great copywriter, a great marketer. He was a great, or is, I guess he's kind of past his prime, honestly. But let's just say was a great marketer, a great copywriter. He was also a great coach consultant, subject matter expert, and he actually was a very successful speaker, and he was great at really selling from the stage. He was really world class at really converting from the stage, not so much like inspiring people in the way that Tony Robbins does and things like that. And if I look at myself, I um I am a very good marketer and copywriter. I would not say I'm Dan Kennedy's levels, but I tap what Dan Kennedy levels, but I am like top percentile when it comes to that. Um, and when it comes to being a coach consultant, I actually, in my working with coaches and experts specifically on launches, market optimizing their marketing, I am definitely top percentile when it comes to that. Speaking and presenting, that's where I that's where I am not so good. I would say I'm average. I would say I am on my best days I'm okay. Let's just put it that way. Maybe best days I'm good, if that makes sense. Been good enough to make pretty good money, selling from the stage, but there's much bigger levels that I can get to. So I figured, like really having this goal as a North Star to really up level my speaking, that's going to help me model my hero Dan Kennedy more. And also just from looking at my own business, from looking at just the way that the future is going, I really do think that speaking on stages it's just a great way to build your business, build your authority. In my experience, the best way to get clients has been to actually speak on stages and then connect with those people on a one-to-one level. That's like the secret sauce to getting clients. So, and I just see like the whole idea of the impossible goals, even if you don't hit it, you'll get great benefits from getting it. If I see it, if I as I am, but from really committing to speaking, improving my speaking ability, improving my ability to sell and convert from the stage and to move people and all those things. That's really, of course, going to a lot of good benefits are going to come from that. And speaking on bigger and bigger stages, that is going to build my authority, which is going to allow me to grow my business even more. So it's very congruent, it's very aligned for all these reasons. So I'm very, very excited about this goal. And so for Brendon, why would I want to get on Brenda's stage specifically? He's another one of my big inspirations. A huge fan of Brendon Burchard. To me, he is like the ultimate. He's the founder of the High Performance Academy. He really coined the phrase high performance. He really, if you look at, he really is like the ultimate high performer, and I really do like resonate with him quite a bit. And I'm a big fan of his content. And so, yeah, that just seems like it would be a great stage to get on. And it's really in that level of impossible because I think the last time he did his live Growth Day event, like his big Growth Day event, I went to it in 2023 and he definitely did not do one this year. He did not do one he might have done one since then. He might have done either one last year or he did one in 2024 and then he did not do anymore. So so he might not even be he might not have a planned he might not even have a planned event of doing one in 2028. Although he is going to be doing other live events, I'm sure of that. So I have confidence that getting on one of the stages, that there will be stages that are available. So it's a legitimate and possible goal. I'm very excited about it. And so what I want to share with you in this video is my actual plan to get on this stage. So this might be a little bit meta. I'm super excited about this. I'm going to use a Brendon framework to share with you my plan for getting on Brendon's stage. So Brendon has a lot of excellent content. Check out his book, High Performance Habits, and you can go to his website at growthday.com for all for all the bells and whistles. But if you look at his book, High Performance Habits, one of his habits is be productive, and basically about productivity. And one of his frameworks for that is what he calls his 5 moves framework, which essentially means that for any goal you want to achieve, there's only 5 moves you need to accomplish that goal. So it parallels the kind of Ben Hardy 10x is easier than 2x idea, kind of getting you to really focus your thinking in a lot of ways. So he uses the example like if you want to write a best-selling book, like what are the 5 moves? And it's like, move, I don't remember them off the top of my head, but it's like move 1 is write the book. Move 2 is get an agent. Move 3 is build an email list. And then move 4 is line up partners to promote your book. And then move 5 is launch your book, something like that. I know I got at least two out of 3 of those correct. So let me share with you my 5 moves. So uh, I'm going to use one of these whiteboard apps. Let's give this one a whirl here. Let's actually make sure that I am clean screen here. So I'm going to use this whiteboard app, and this is actually the first time I'm using it. So bear with me on the uh, okay. So here we go. So 5 moves. Okay, so my 5 moves are, I'll go through each of them. So move number 1 for me is I need to master my talk. What that really means for this move is I need to get really good. I need to become technically very proficient at speaking and presenting and delivering my signature talk. I have a signature talk that I have given quite a few times that I've been working on, which has been getting great reviews so far. And essentially, that talk, it's where I go deep into this idea of the oxytocin economy and how the winners of the future are going to be those who optimize their marketing for oxytocin versus dopamine. And the way you do that is by creating what I call a magnetic launch experience. I'm not going to go into all the details about that now, but that is essentially my signature talk. Thus far, this idea of oxytocin connection, people are resonating with it. So I have confidence that it has, you know, I'm probably not going to write a best-selling book on the topic, but I definitely think it's got potential. I'm feeling good about it from the feedback I've gotten so far. So goal is when it comes to this move, it's really mastering this talk and kind of more broadly getting better really at the craft of speaking. And so, the way that I'm going to do that is by giving the talk as many times as I possibly can over these next couple of years. And also, I am committing to actually practicing every day to improve my speaking and delivery skills. At the minimum, I am going to be practicing 1% of the day, which is about 15 minutes per day, on technically speaking. I'm really working on different parts of my talk and getting my reps in. So that is move number one. And this is kind of this really everything that kind of flows from that. If I don't have a great talk, if I'm not a great speaker, then obviously there's no possible way I will be able to get on bigger stages, let alone Brendon's stage. So then move number two is build my platform. So you are aware that um, so in order for me to get on bigger stages and eventually get the attention of someone like Brendon, I need to build my own platform. And it needs to be much bigger than it is right now. And I specifically mean my essentially my general social media platform and specifically my YouTube and let's say Instagram following. Those I think are the two kind of biggest ones that people look at. People basically will go check you out and they look at how many YouTube subscribers do you have and how many Instagram followers that you have. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm committing to recording and delivering 3 YouTube videos per week. And I'm also going to be putting out more content on Instagram, which I have not been doing for a while. So I'm committing to basically setting up my machine so I'm consistent on YouTube and so I'm consistent on Instagram. And those my hope is that those assets will be compounding and eventually I'll be able to build my following, my audience, my platform into a bigger into it basically. So I have more followers. So again, so people like Brendon would get I would get their attention. And the thing that's good here is that my main way of building my platform is going to be by delivering videos on YouTube. And so when I'm delivering videos on YouTube, that is further those are further reps that I'm getting in when it comes to mastering my talk. And some of the ideas that I'm going to be talking about in the talk, I'll be able to like essentially practice those here on YouTube, for example. So that's very aligned. That's awesome. Then move number three is stages. So what I mean here is I need to be really, I'm committing to really getting out there on the circuit, and I'm committed to getting on, speaking live at the right on the right stages as much as I possibly can. And I have a conscious goal. I'm consciously making an effort to speak on bigger and better stages because it's like the whole I don't know, trading up, whatever, whatever the word is, if you speak on one stage, then you can leverage that into maybe a bigger and better stage, and you can leverage that to maybe a bigger and better stage as well. And then, if all goes well and if you get lucky, etc., and if you're good, then before you know it, you're speaking on the big stages, which obviously I would not would probably not be Brennan's stage per se initially, but it could be, just other big stages, which again would kind of put me in the conversation, put me in the wheelhouse of like being, an established speaker. Um, and so, yeah, and then of course, this itself, establishing myself really as a speaker, that is going to give me, if I do it well, I feel so egotistical. Just so you know, I don't have I mean, I don't actually have a lot of confidence that this is all going to work out perfectly or that this is going to happen. This is just my plan, Mike Tyson, whatever he's got a plan till they get punched in the face. This is just my plan. That's what I'm planning on doing. I feel good about my hypothesis. Um, but again, I just I don't want to give like this like false bravado, like confidence, like, oh, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. That is just not, it's not the case. Um, but anyways, hopefully that's landing. So, and then the good thing here, of course, is that, um, this whole thing is kind of like, hopefully you can appreciate is that, for all these things so far, it's like, even if I totally fail at my ultimate goal of getting on Brendon's stage, these things will be very helpful. I mean, if I give my talk hundreds of times and I'm an awesome speaker, I mean, obviously that's going to have a lot of benefits. If I build my platform to be much bigger than it is now, which would not be difficult because I only have a few, I think I still have less than 200 subscribers to this channel and like maybe around 1,000 or so on Instagram, that'll be awesome. And if I'm speaking on bigger and better stages, even if they're just bigger than the ones that I'm currently speaking on right now, like the last in-person talk I did, I think there was about 50 or 60 people in the room when I gave it. So if in a couple of years I'm speaking in front of 200 people instead of 50, even if I'm not on Brendan's stage, like that's probably pretty cool, right? So hopefully you get that. The new move number four is, what is move number four? Move number four is getting to the right rooms. So so there you go, getting into the right rooms. So what I mean is that, um, part of the plan is I need to be building relationships. Um, the way you get on better stages generally is through relationships. So I need to be going to the right events to build relationships with event organizers and people like that. I need to be getting into the rooms of some of these higher level masterminds, people that have stages that I could do to kind of like, scratch this itch. And then of course, I I do need to get into some Brendon adjacent rooms, and I need to, be able to connect with people more kind of in that universe. Um, so I'm actually planning on probably at the end of the year, maybe going into 2027. He does have his high level program called Ultra, which I actually was in that program when it came out a couple years ago, and I stopped, but I plan on rejoining that program at the end of this year. And that program, to be honest, I don't think like people in that program actually like spend much time with Brendan, like actually hang out with them because I think there's like by now hundreds of people in that program. But still, that's like the most like Brendon adjacent room that really exists. Um, so yeah, so that's basically part of the plan. Basically, you know, it sounds so marketing sociopath, but like strategic networking, that's a part of the plan as well. And then the other part of the plan is, let's just call it proving the framework. What that means is that, all right, almost there. All right, so proving the framework. What we mean by that is in this, you probably cannot read my writing. It's all good. Um, so what I mean by that is I need to prove that all the things that I'm talking about when it comes to the oxytocin economy and the when it comes to like having that be the best way to grow your business, I need to actually be an embodiment of that. I need to be growing my business using these same principles as another one of my moves. And to be honest, this is like the main, I mean, obviously that's going to be helpful just to like the evidence, once I have hundreds of case studies of people that have used my framework and are getting amazing results, that itself just will give me more authority and more power when it comes to like, hey, you should listen to what I'm saying. You should have me on your stage. Also, that is also going to help me grow my business. And as you can imagine, a lot of these things, in order for me to like do things like grow my platform, get on bigger stages, getting into the right rooms, those require, those require, some of those things require, I need to fund those things, right? Um, for example, funding. When it comes to platform, I actually don't think that is actually a huge investment, really. I don't think I need a huge team to do that. It's more just about putting the time and energy into doing it. But when it comes to getting on stages, obviously sponsoring stages is a thing. So there are opportunities to sponsor bigger stages, and a lot of those stages, they can cost a pretty penny, and I don't, I currently don't have that kind of investment to. I don't have that. I'm not quite ready to invest that kind of money in some of these bigger stages just yet. Same thing when it comes to getting to the right rooms. Oftentimes, some of these things are pay to play, right? To go to these high level masterminds, to go to these high level events. Oftentimes you have to fund your, you have to just have to pay to get into those rooms. So once as I prove the framework, that's going to allow me to fund the rest of these things. And of course, this is my regular business stuff, which I'm doing anyways, but this just gives me more focus when it comes to that. So, there you go. And if I just one final note, those are the five moves. And if you go through this, if I take this through the Ben Hardy science of scaling framework, what he has the frame, floor, and the focus. So the frame really is like, what is your impossible goal? And everything needs to be like filtered through, like, does this help me get to my impossible goal? Then the floor basically is like you want to only do things that are above the floor, meaning that this is really what you say no to. So the question is this above the floor? Is this something worth doing? And then the focus, those are the things you actually do. So that's like, okay, what am I actually spending my time on? And so if I were to actually, there's a pretty strong argument, if I'm being honest. This is where um, you could argue there's kind of basically, if I'm being honest, I let me think about this. I think there's a case to be made. It's not much of a case, but you could make a case that growing the platform is actually that it's actually less 10x. That if I didn't do that, that if I just focused on the talk and only focused on stages, then that might actually be more 10x. But at the same time, the thing is like, you can only do, I mean, it's really true. You can only do so much networking. I suppose this would be more, I suppose, okay, that's a good way to look at this. So for now, this is cool, but there is, if and when I get to the point, which would be awesome, where I was like if I just had great demand as a speaker and I had the opportunity like to get on to be speaking on like, you know, basically let's say one a week. If I had the opportunity if I had the opportunity to speak on four awesome stages per month, for example, like if that was really the case, let's say that's probably even too much. Let's say I had the opportunity to speak on 30 awesome high level stages in a year. And I actually like those opportunities were coming to me, things were good. There probably would be an argument at that point where, okay, like, well, if that's the case and I have this momentum, then I should just focus on that. And spending time recording YouTube videos might actually not be worthwhile. But at this point, I'm obviously nowhere near that point. Future Ron, it'll be nice to meet Future Ron in real life. But but for now, I do think I'm building the platform. I do actually need that in order to get just to get some of that initial momentum and credibility, so I can get on some of those bigger stages. So all right, that's my video. That is my plan to get on Brendon's stage in the next 2.5 years. These are the 5 moves, and I will keep you posted on how everything is going. Thanks for listening. And again, let me know what your impossible goal is, and if you can tell me what your impossible goal is, and I would love to hear what your 5 moves are. What did you get from this video as the 5 moves that you're going to use to accomplish your impossible goal? I'd love to hear that. And be on the lookout for my next awesome video, which is coming just around the corner. Have a great day. I will talk to you soon. See ya.